podcast back in the FloGrappling studio with Chase Smith, Reid Connell, and myself, Howell Teague, here once again to break down jiu-jitsu news and grappling. Actually, let's not forget grappling, because they're not the same thing, right?
There you go,
this
man.
Is true.
It was a huge week. Huge weekend, I guess we should say. So a lot to talk about, a lot to get into.
There are. Let's just recap some events very, very quickly. Last weekend, we had 4 live events on FloGrappling, including Fight to Win in Florida, the IBJJF LA BJJ Pro, World Series of Grappling, and the ADCC Trials. Now, we'll get into those in just a second, but Fight to Win featured not one, but 2 flying triangles.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty wild. We got actually an instructional link to learn how to do that one flying triangle right there. I'm going to post that in the comments so you guys can check it out. This is really cool, actually, because Fight to Win, not only are they awarding, the bonuses and the honor of having submission of the night, but now they've started filming immediately after the event. They've started filming like a little technique video on how they did it, right?
Yeah, those guys are really changing the game. I love these videos because they come out like immediately after the event, so just that submission's still fresh in my mind. I'm like, man, that was sick. And then you have the guy showing you how to do it himself right there.
I think we also on the site have Edwin Najmi breaking down his flying triangle, so that might be interesting to see
how they stack up,
how they differ a little bit. Of course, Edwin Najmi, known for the flying triangle all over the world, all across the world. He's known for that.
I mean, that's what people book him for when they
Najmi
book him
style.
for seminars, right?
Yeah.
They actually ask Edwin, hey, show us the flying triangle and show us the DAS is the two
Yeah,
things.
I was going to say, I want to learn the DARS
Yeah.
because he's so good at baiting that double leg, that single leg, and then just murdering someone with a DARS. So,
but maybe
got
one of
those
the
long arms and legs.
The best flying triangles in history of flying triangles is when he submitted Nicholas Marigali in the Purple Belt Absolute in 2014. I think
it was 2014. Yeah.
Man, Edwin's a lightweight. Marigali wasn't as big as he is now, but that was one of the most incredible flying triangles ever hit in the history of jiu-jitsu, in my opinion.
It was epic. And who'd have thought that those kids, right, like back then, just fighting in the Purple Belt
And now look at them.
or where they would get to, right?
Yeah.
I called it.
Did you?
Oh, did you now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we also had the LA BJJ Pro that was offering cash prizes to the winners. So, good opportunity for some of the guys to go out there and pick up some money.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much jiu-jitsu to watch this weekend. So, I know there's a lot out there. We got all the matches on Flow, but one of the matches that I liked from that LA BJJ Pro we were watching the other day was that Marcio Andre, Michael Lear Jr. That was a pretty great match.
That was a wild one. That was the semifinal in the middleweight division, and Otavio Sousa actually went on to win, and Liera Jr. took second. So, but to see Marcio Andre, who it's got accolades out of his ass, right? That guy's got so many titles. just missing the black belt world title, I think, but he's won almost everything else. And Liera Jr., he's great, right? He's an amazing technician, but in a division like that, you wouldn't necessarily put him in like the short list of favorites.
Liera can be just a little hot and cold, in my opinion. He's obviously very capable of beating the best in the world, and he had a great year, or he had a great performance at Pans this last year.
I was going to say that was probably his all-time best performance, I want to say.
But sometimes, like I said, just a little hot and cold, but obviously very capable of beating the best in the world, and proved it when he beat Marcio Andre at the LBJ Pro.
We got the match on the site and we were watching it, and that whole sequence, that it was like some lapel trickery going on, and it came up into like a sweep position, and next thing you know, boom, he's on the back, right? It was incredible.
It was a great back take. Yeah, that's what I liked most about it.
Lucas Hulk also winning gold in his division, just running through people as usual. Otavio Sousa, I don't think Otavio Sousa has ever lost in a BJJ Pro. He's just picked.
He does a lot of them, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, it's $3,000. I actually know it's gone up now. It used to be $3,000. Now it's
$5,000
$4,000.
now.
Or is it $4,000?
$4,000
for the winner of the black belt division. And Otavio just he's like, yeah, easy money, man. Like $4,000 for a couple of matches. Yeah.
I guess if it's easy money, not easy money for me.
No, easy for Otavio.
Yeah, right. But that was one of the many events that we had running over the weekend, and definitely go back and check out those matches. But one of the biggest events that I was at, and a lot of people were talking about, was the World Series of Grappling. So first of all, we have to mention that the 2 big winners out of that, because they had 2 divisions, right? The under 180 pounds and over, in effect, and a light and a heavy absolute. And the 2 winners in the lightweight division was Manuel Ribamar and in the heavyweight division was Muhammad Ali. And they each took home $20,000 cash prize.
What a big win for Ribamar, right? I mean, he took out some big names on his way to that cash prize.
He did. And let's be honest, nobody put him in the shortlist of favorites to win that either.
True.
Right?
There are a ton of great guys. I mean, it was hard to call anyone being a sure bet, I think. So to see him on top, though, definitely shocked me. I was coming home from ADCC Trials and kind of following along the action. It's like, holy shit, Ribamar's in the final. Like, that's awesome. So
yeah, that whole thing was stacked. Edwin, Gabriel had the whole kind of next generation of Atos crew was in there, Jonatas and those guys, Johnny Tama. So yeah, everybody was out there trying to get that $20,000. So definitely the winner earned it.
And it's really interesting as well. You look at the final, and it was him versus Victor Silverio, right? Now, again, that's not necessarily a final that I would have predicted, especially when you've got guys like Gabriel Arges, right? 2017 world champion. Isaac Bayens, 2018 world champion, all in among that division. It's like, who would have predicted that Silverio and Ribamar would make it into the final of that?
I've never seen Ribamar with a bigger smile on his face than when he was handed the $20,000 in cash. You know,
I think if you hand me $20,000, you've never seen my smile.
What's the most money? What's the most amount of cash you've held in your hand?
Like 200 grand.
200 grand? You held 200 grand in your hand? I thought you were gonna say $200. I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably like $1,000. No, I think I bought a motorcycle for $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baller.
So. That was
still dropping a zero though, about 20 grand.
I sold it for much less, and it was a bad investment all around. But I did have $2,000 in cash at one point.
It felt good.
It felt real good until I gave it away.
20 grand in cash is interesting because you'd expect it to be like a brick, but when it's $100 bills as well, it's only like that thick.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that's what Ribamar said. I'll take it. So, and he did, and he took it in good fashion as well. I got to say, he had a great run to get there into the final. Muhammad Ali, obviously the same. He had a pretty tough run as well. Faced off with Keenan in the semi-final, which I think is really interesting to note because he's actually fought Keenan twice this year, and it's really interesting because he lost to him twice. He lost to him at the final of the Pans, and then he dropped a decision to him in ACB. And it's really interesting because Mahamed actually said that both those matches he felt better, and he actually felt like he deserved to win those matches. Now, obviously, he lost on the advantage, but he felt that he should have won the decision, and he didn't. And this time, he didn't feel that he deserved to win because he didn't really feel like he went after it enough with the submission-only rules. But hey, 20 grand later, I don't think he's complaining too much.
It seemed like there were some interesting decisions made. You were on the ground. You kind of saw maybe more than what was on the stream. What did it seem like to you as far as the judging and submission only and the gi with reaping? How did that sort of affect things?
Not bad. Not bad. I think the referees have come under fire in the past for some, let's say, unusual decisions. And that happens all the time, man. It happens regardless of the organization and regardless of the refereeing crew. But it definitely was an improvement on the previous event. That is, an absolute given. It was much, much better than before. They figured it out. There were one or two decisions that were a little bit strange, but it was almost the problem was actually the competitors and not the referees. Because some of the competitors literally forgot that they were competing under submission-only rules. Because they're so ingrained to compete under the point system.
Sure.
And fighting for near points, advantages. And in their head, they're racking it up, right? They knock the guy over and they think, okay, yeah, I'm ahead on now. Or they come up on top and think, oh, yeah, I'm winning. But no, because it was submission only, and all that mattered were, number one criteria, submission attacks. And in matches where there weren't any, it was very difficult to decide a winner, right? Like, does a near sweep, is that more important than your near guard pass? Or, what I mean? The problem is that, well, you got to get up and you got to finish that shit if you want to win a decision.
It's interesting, though. Yeah, I didn't realize this, but yeah, it's a good point that basically I'd be curious how many other submission-only tournaments a lot of those guys have done, right? How many submission-only tournaments has Muhammad Ali done? How many submission-only tournaments?
First time I've ever seen it, yeah.
Yeah, Ribamar. I don't think I've ever seen him do a submission-only tournament. I mean, Victor Silverio, a lot of those guys. So yeah, it's an interesting
points
point.
Fighters,
yeah.
Usually, yeah.
So there's a lot of those guys, their first time dipping their toes into submission-only. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely, and it opens up a whole different kind of argument, right? It's like they often say that the rules make the matches, but I guess that sometimes the competitors need to kind of step up as well, right?
Yeah, it makes me wonder though. What if a sub-only guy threw on the gi for once and like entered the event? How that would change.
Who are you
things.
talking about?
No, I mean, just in
Anybody in
general,
particular?
someone that's super familiar or very comfortable playing a sub-only game.
Yeah.
You know, because if you have the same group of competitors, the same kind of pool, it doesn't really matter what the rules are. They're going to fight each other the same way. They kind of are ingrained with a certain style. But if you throw in a wild card, maybe that'll really mix things up. So.
Yeah, I got to say, though, I mean, it's like not everybody was like that. You know, some guys definitely were. I mean, Edwin even said to me before he went in, he's like, sub-only, I don't have to care about points. I'm just going to go after it. I'm just going to go straight for the kill. Like, screw getting my guard passed. Doesn't matter, you know? And actually, that's exactly the mentality that he needed. He was at least aware of it. But some other guys... I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I'm going to. Keenan, okay? But Keenan rocked up, and literally the day off, he's like, oh, this is sub-only?
That's funny.
He didn't know, and he competed in the last one. It's like, come on, man.
He competed.
Oh, yeah.
But, you
Yeah,
know,
still did pretty well. Made it a final.
Yeah.
I mean,
semi-final and third
Yeah.
place. Yeah. And let's discuss like some of the guys that stood out for you. Any breakout stars for you guys from that event? Any division?
I mean, I think it's got to be Ribamar. It really kind of put a stamp on it. But I'm also super impressed with Silverio, and it's been a great couple of weeks for him. You know, he did really well at the Grand Slam, so maybe he's coming on strong because he's had some mixed levels of success. He's always right there as a top guy, but sometimes has some issues with getting the points when he needs them. Sometimes some reffing calls or whatever. But man, he's doing really well for himself lately.
Yeah, no, you're right actually, and we've. He made the switch over to Gracie Barra. I forget now. We're like a year and a half ago, I guess, somewhere
Is that
around
long
there.
ago?
Yeah, it's time flies. But you know, maybe took a little while for him to settle into the rhythm and the training he's been doing. He's not just training at Gracie Barra Northridge. He's also training at Meraki,
Sure.
In Santa Monica, right?
Yes, with
Yeah.
Jason Hunt and Kenny Florian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's been working a lot on that stand-up game with Jason Hunt, and actually we saw it because that was a real deciding factor in his match with Isaac. Isaac Bayens is known as like just pitbull when it comes to stand-up, right? And I mean, you know, Victor goes head-to-head with anybody, and that match was very much a, you know,
Grinding. Yeah.
they were like literally in the center of the mat, forehead to forehead. But yeah,
You got to shout out to Jason Hunt because it seems like he's been working with all that Gracie Barra crew on their stand up, on their judo game. Edwin and Gabriel and even AJ, I bet a little
Man,
bit too.
I saw Edwin hit a lovely Kochigari, that little inside foot sweep thing. You know, the kind of people are so obviously aware of him going for that triangle from the flying triangle from the grips.
Yeah.
And you know they start like backing out, and he's just like, okay, rip, and put Tarsis on his ass with it. That was cool.
That's nice.
So that was a wild match, though. I got to say, go
Edwin
back and watch
Tarsis,
that.
Yeah, that was a fun one. But breakout stars. Sorry, I got a cough here all of a sudden. Breakout stars.
Buddy, doing good?
I know.
Gotta get you another Coke over here, I think.
Yeah, I know, right? But I just wanted to point out the I got to point out the Kynan versus Marigali match. I think that was a crazy one, and man, I just think because Kynan's so young and you know he just got his black belt, and to go up first round, right?
First round, opening round match.
That's a tough match.
Yeah, Kynan Duarte, who got his black belt like 5 months ago, up against the 2017 IBJJF's world champion. That's a big deal right there, right? Because Marigali, obviously, no secret as to who he is, right? But Kynan's still kind of making a name for himself. But holy crap, how good a name has he made in the short period that he's actually been a black belt?
Of course, because you got to look back just a couple weeks ago when he fought Gordon Ryan, no-gi, and obviously I think a lot of us are pretty high on Gordon Ryan as one of the best no-gi specialists in the world, and for him to kind of take Gordon to the brink in no-gi at no-gi pans, and then kind of turn around just a few weeks later and have to fight in the gi Nicholas Marigali, I definitely tip my cap to Kynan because that's no easy feat.
He's been super active, right? And I think that's actually key right now. It's like you're a brand new black belt. Just get out there and get as much experience as you can, right? You just got to get the reps, right? Every time he competes, becomes more and more familiar with those guys, learns a little bit more about their games, about himself, just getting that experience to compete at the upper level. I mean, he's already performing great.
And his confidence has got to be sky high right now.
Yeah.
And he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
That kid is 20. That is incredible when you think about how quickly he's advanced. He's an ADCC veteran, It's just unreal. And he's competing again soon, actually, November 3rd. Spider BJJ Invitational
yes.
in South Korea. You're going to that. So.
I'll be in Seoul. I'll be looking forward to that event, as always.
Yeah, you know who he's fighting against? Victor Hugo. It's
that's a
the
great one.
semi-finals of
That's
the
right.
tournament. Now, him and Victor have got history, right?
Yeah,
They've
yeah,
got
they fought
plenty of
many
good
times.
matches, yeah.
And I'm not sure if
saw 'em-
Victor's ever beat Kynan, though, to be honest.
Their match was very close.
They've had close matches.
Was it Nogi Worlds last year? Was super close. I know there's a bunch of times, but that
They
one
fought
comes to mind.
Europeans,
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
too, and they fought at Worlds this past year
And
as
Victor's
well.
still a brown belt, important to add, you know.
Yep,
that
still a brown belt.
He had a great show last weekend at World Series of Grappling as well. He tapped out Kevin Casey in the opening rounds.
right,
With the,
yeah.
it was beautiful. He like did a spider guard sweep, you know, kind of like took him over to one side, knocked him down, and as Kevin kind of like righted himself and came back up on top, he kind of went with it and he attacked for like an arm lock on the other arm, like
nice.
almost like an omoplata kind of setup, but instead like the arm was straight. And it was a verbal tap. It was a scream tap. Whoa, it was nice, man.
Yikes.
Really slick.
I just want to also reference, because I saw a lot of people saying that Marigali got robbed, that Marigali kind of deserved to win it, and things like that. And you know,
Do you agree with that?
you know, I probably disagree with that. It was a very close match, and you can go back and watch it and decide for yourself, and you can hear what you guys have to think too. But yeah, you know, it's a referee's decision, a submission-only match, and there was no submission, right? So it goes to a referee's decision, you know, and we kind of put that emphasis on the referees, and they ended up giving it to Kynan. You know, whatever they saw, whatever the criteria was that they picked, they gave it to Kynan. You know, I'm never mad about a referee's decision going either way. That's sort of what happens in our sport these days. If you can't submit or you can't score the points, it goes up to the refs, and obviously somebody's going to be very disappointed. Somebody's going to be mad. So can't complain too much about it. I don't think he was robbed. So
He wasn't complaining about it too much. I got to say, you know,
You talked to him afterwards?
Yeah, briefly, and because I was interested to know how he felt. You know, like you say, you know, somebody's always disappointed in that situation, and I was like, well, let's see how he feels. And I think he was more disappointed in it going that way, you know, and going to a decision, as opposed to being disappointed with the decision. You know, I think he understood that. Okay, like I said, submission only. I didn't finish it. Deal with it. But
Marigali's a submission hunter too. Like in points tournaments, you know, like he is a guy who's ripping on Kimuras. He's going after people. So
oh man, his finisher rate must be sky high. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So he's not really just a points player. He's a guy who submits people often. You know, he submitted Felipe Pena at the World Championships. So he's got a lot of submissions, like you said.
Yeah. Well, my personal standout was Jansen Gomes of Checkmat, the 16-year-old blue belt who won the blue purple belt combined under 180-pound division. Kid's still juvenile too, not even eligible to fight in adults yet.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
Was beating purple belts and stuff, and had it kind of had the luck of the draw. You know, he had a couple of buys in his opening rounds because of like DQs and forfeits and stuff. Got through to the finals though and took on Andy Murasaki of Atos, and you know, Andy's a tank, right? Purple belt killer, and won, you know, pretty decisively. I think he won 3 rounds to 0 because it was like
That's
a special.
incredible.
Yeah, kid's amazing. But you know, a couple of guys
Juveniles,
there
man.
were kind of like, oh man, who is this kid? I've known Jansen since he was like an orange belt or something like that, because he's from Checkmat in Rio, right? Same gym, same favela as Jackson Sousa, Terra Ray, all those killers from the Checkmat team. And he literally is the next Jackson Sousa, this kid.
Like, oh, wow, you heard it here first.
Oh, yeah.
Next Jackson Sousa.
No doubt. Absolutely. This kid, 16 years old, blue belt. He's got all potential in the world. And he's training now in California with Leo Vieira. Now, tell me that is not going to be amazing.
I remember we were watching him on our last day of the Road to Worlds Tour. We stopped in at Checkmat. It's right there in Long Beach where the venue for Worlds is. And he was having a go with Hanato Kanuto, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I mean, Hanato is one of the best black belts on the scene. He might even be a little bit smaller than Jansen, but they were doing takedown for takedown. It was a lot of fun, a lot of wild scrambles. And I was like, damn, this kid is good. He's had a blue belt on. I'm like, this is insane.
Competitive?
Yeah, I mean, it was
very,
fun.
very
It was definitely fun to watch. You know, Hanato has a very playful style, and
very
so
open.
unless he's actually trying to murder somebody, I feel like he looks like he's having such a good time, and so it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I tell you, it's amazing how much talent this one tiny little favela has produced. I mean, you went there.
Is that the one that
It is, yeah.
What do you call it?
It's called Cantagallo.
That's Cantagallo?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
is there like Paivo, Paixão?
Yeah, there's Pavãozinho as well.
Pavãozinho.
Means literally means peacock, right? And Pavão is a little peacock. And so it's like there used to be like 3 favelas, and they all kind of merged into one. But people just call it Cantagallo. It's like the
Gotcha.
And Cantagallo means cockcrow. basically means like a noise that like a crow makes when it sings, so like Song of the Crow. So, but the favela is like right there on the hill, and literally right at the base is the gym.
Yeah.
And you know, it took like 10 minutes to walk door to door, and Jansen's like, I miss it. You know, obviously that's where he grew up.
Sure.
You know, but him and his brother Jonathan Gomez as well, Jonathan Gomez. I'm sorry, who's a brown belt. Those kids are really something special, and you know, Checkmat, they always did a great job in really developing opportunities, you know, developing the talent and giving opportunities to those kids from the favela. And we've seen it, man. It's taken them around the world, right? So,
Was he there, you think, that time we went to the gym?
oh man, I have to go back and look at the footage.
Yeah,
Maybe.
have to go back and look.
Yeah,
Wonder if he
That'd
was
be
there.
crazy. Yeah.
sat in the corner
Like
like
a
a
green
orange
belt,
belt.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Nice.
But yeah, huge talent, and excited to see what the future has in store for him. And the other thing, of course, that from World Series of Grappling, and we even had some comments about it in our live stream right here. Dylan Melton, what's your opinion on the argument that lower belts should be allowed to do more attacks to the legs and ankles?
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
Funny you should ask us, Dylan, because we did discuss this the other day on the site. But
True.
I gave my opinion, and my opinion was let him leg lock, right? What about you guys? What do you think? Blue and purple belts.
Let me bang, bro. Let me get after it. I mean, I don't think you see a gym out there really that disallows, you know, knee bars for purple belts. Blue belts, I've seen some places be like, no, you can't do that. But then you get your certain training partners that you trust, and you know you're not going to kill each other, and then it's kind of open season. So I think why not allow it?
So what about you, Reid? I know you're not a huge fan of leg locks personally, are you?
No, I'm definitely a fan of the leg locks. I don't know. Maybe I sit a little bit more on the fence though than you guys, just because, you know, I don't know. Obviously, those guys that we're talking about, guys like Andy Murasaki and Jansen Gomes and things like that, these are guys who are in the sport for the long haul. These are guys who are getting reps in basically for the sole reason of you know, preparing themselves for black belt. So it makes a lot of sense, obviously, for those type of guys and stuff to attack all submissions and things like that. You know, but also you can't ignore that jiu-jitsu is a little bit more of a recreational sport for a lot of people. The majority of people, it's a little bit more recreational. So I don't know. I guess I don't mind that we're not allowed to do leg locks at blue and purple belt. I don't think it's a real detractor too much. But obviously for these guys, you know, obviously they're doing leg locks in the gym. Obviously they need to be aware of the leg locks because, you know, at brown belt, at black belt, you do see knee bars and things like that all the time. So, you know, it's good practice, obviously. But I'm not a guy who's rushing to change the rules across the board.
That's actually a good point. I think that's a more measured opinion. I'm glad there are outlets like Fight to Win and World Series of Grappling where purple belts are given more free reign.
That's true. And purple belts in Fight to Win, they can knee bar until
wide
two,
open,
right?
Yep.
And you know, those are professional shows. They're for pro athletes.
As was, you know, let's say the caliber at the World Series of Grappling as well was of a level where I think those guys, they assume the risk.
Yeah.
You know, they're walking into that with their eyes wide open. They know exactly what it's, you know, what the deal is. And there's a cash prize on the line as well. So I think it's a little bit more valid than some guy who has to go to work on Monday morning and to do so on crutches. That would not be cool.
I mean, actually, I think the entry fee plays a big role here too. It's $500 to be at World Series of Grappling. You're not going to get some, you know, weekend warrior that's ponying up $500, knowing that he's going to face some of the very best talent in the world. You know, it's not a participation prize worth having. You know,
Yeah, good
$500. So maybe there is some benefits to that. I never really thought about it, but it weeds out some of the not worthy opponents.
But, you know, yeah, let us know what you think in the comments, because that's a hotly debated topic, I think. You know, leg locks are so in these days, and such a, you know,
they are
hot commodity. So
de rigueur.
Yeah.
But I always remember like back in being a white belt and going to different gyms and stuff like that and talking to guys and being like, oh yeah, I lost my IBJJF match, but like, dude, like wouldn't even let me heel hook or they wouldn't even let me knee bar, man. And I'm like, dude, I don't want you ripping on my heels and my knees. You're a white belt. You've been doing this for 6 months. Like
Those
I
guys
don't
are
want
silly. Silly for sure.
Yeah, there's a good argument for not letting people do it because they just grab it.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
I totally support that. I don't want this guy ripping on my knee.
You see that like face where like they're really squeezing hard. You're like, get away from me.
Yeah.
And now I'm a smash.
So yeah, World Series of Grappling was a lot of fun, and this it was a good event. Definitely go back, watch the matches and stuff. There's so many good moments to touch on from there. We can take an hour to talk about that, but another big event that we had just last weekend was in Romania.
That's right.
ADCC Trials.
Beautiful Bucharest, Romania.
What the heck was
What were you
Romania
there
like?
for?
I was, well, you just said it, for ADCC Trials.
The first European Trials.
First European Trials, yes. There's another one coming in the spring, I believe in Poland. We have some footage going now here of when I was at Trials last weekend. Saw a lot of great submissions, a lot of well-rounded games. It was not just leg attacks. We saw Ross Nichols here actually does hit a beautiful heel hook. He's one of the stand-ups of the event. But overall,
so he won the 77 kilo division and got the ticket to go to ADCC Worlds.
That's right. So first place winners for the men's divisions all earned their trip to ADCC Worlds in September of 2019. This is the above 99 kilogram winner here, Eldar Rafigav. I'm sure I said that wrong. His nickname is Yakuza, and he's just a savage. He submitted everyone on his way to gold, all 4 fights. There's a lot of great wrestling, crazy takedowns, all the stuff you expect from ADCC.
Well, let's ask it actually then, because in this clip here, we're seeing a variety of techniques and stuff. But what was the overall impression of the style of grappling? Did you see a lot of a specific thing, or was it a mix of everything? Because ADCC is very different to what we usually see at gi grappling or even no gi grappling points tournaments. So
Sure.
what was the kind of the overall takeaway?
Well, the well-rounded athletes won. You know, Vegard, for example, Vegard Randberg from Norway, did quite well with sort of a traditional game, heavy pressure passing, but then he ran into Ross Nichols and got heel hooked. You have to know the leg game. You cannot ignore it. Adam Warzinski might be one of the guys who does not favor the leg game. He's featured here right now, taking the back, about to get a submission.
Just great fundamentals, though, right?
Yeah,
Get the back finish with a choke.
He had his butterfly game was in full effect, and you can learn that, by the way, on FloGrappling. We have a 20-minute masterclass on no-gi butterfly guard.
Oh, check that out.
But again, Adam was adept at getting out of leg locks, so you have to know them. You for any
At least be aware of them.
Yeah,
right?
at least be aware
of what's going on in those situations.
But overall, I would say is a well-rounded game. I think ADCC's reached a certain level, leg lock consciousness with sub-only and EBI and all these other avenues to promote them. There's sort of a general understanding, and the guys who didn't have any of it were weeded out quickly. Now the wrestling was quite good.
Hang on, let me take a step back there then. So about the leg locks, you'd say that in general there were still some people who weren't kind of really too tuned into what's going on with the lower body.
Sure, and they were out very quickly.
I'm surprised about that, to be honest, because, you know, especially the last couple of years, and there's certainly no secret that people are winning big tournaments with leg locks, right? You know, Danaher Death Squad, perfect example. Yep. The guys who cleaned up at every level. You'd think people pay attention to that, right?
I mean, people are just confident in their game. You know, they smash people in the gym. They do well regionally. Who knows? I mean, like I said, Vegard did quite well, and he admitted to me quite openly that like he doesn't really train heel hooks. He's even more of a gi player, and he was able to sort of, with brute force, escape some leg locks. I mean, it looked like it was painful. It didn't seem elegant. It was not an informed sort of way, and he was very open about that. He's like, look, I don't know quite what I'm doing. I know I got to get my knee out of there, and you know that's what he did. But he ran into a guy eventually that was good enough to take advantage of that. And that's,
Gotcha.
You know, the case for almost anyone that had no awareness. So to anyone thinking of competing in ADCC, you have to learn those leg entanglements, at least enough to get out of them.
Because, I mean, you know, we're a couple of years into the whole leg lock phenomenon now, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised that people are still, you know, it's kind of like, well, you know, you learn wrestling, you learn guard passing, you learn sweeps and bottom stuff. Like, you learn everything. Why are you still ignoring 50% of the human body?
I mean, obviously, kind of like the lead up to ADCC in 2017 and 2015, obviously, too, a little different. But definitely, obviously, Gordon, I think, really proved that leg locks work. Obviously, I think the landscape just a little different in 2017. Not too many people, I think, were really genuinely picking Gordon to win the whole thing, or Gordon to do as well as he did. And to see him kind of come out of it the way he did, I think it really proved the effectiveness of the leg entanglements, of heel hooks and stuff like that. So I'm definitely super interested to see how this cycle of ADCC, how this cycle of ADCC trials, you know, exactly that, how people are going to adapt to the leg game. I think, you know, people are much more hip to it these days. It seems like the Danaher's DVDs out. The 10th Planet guys, are very, very good at it as well. So there's a lot of footage on, even on FloGrappling of the leg locks and stuff. So I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing, a lot more competitiveness in those positions and stuff, or if you're still going to see, a lot of kind of mismatches in the leg entanglement.
I think let me ask one thing. So sorry, but about the winners, the gold medalists, the guys who did qualify for the ADCC Worlds. How many of them won with leg locks? Like Ross obviously is a great example.
Two comes to mind, Ross and Eldar Rafigov. Adam did not win with any leg locks. And I want to say the guy who won 66 kilograms, I forget his name, he's from Dagestan, he won mostly with wrestling. He did get a submission in the final. He had a beautiful double leg takedown where he ended up on the back. The guy kind of turtled up, took the back, and got a rear naked choke. But
so not that many leg lock specialists going in and cleaning up.
No, I mean, I think there was a general awareness of them. I mean, like I said, the people who got out early, they didn't know, and they're gone. They didn't last.
But that Ross and Eldar, I mean, from what it seemed watching their matches, it did seem like those two guys kind of dominated their divisions.
They look very good. I think 77 kilograms at European Trials was the most stacked and well balanced division. There were no easy matches.
30 plus people in that division.
There was 50 people, I believe.
Wow.
There's a round of 64. It didn't hit all 64, but it was up there.
Right.
And the guy who took third, Mateusz something from Poland, I can't even say that name.
Yeah.
He looked amazing. He had a nice flying scissor takedown to inside heel hook.
Oh, we saw the clip of that. That's on our Instagram. That was beautiful.
There was definitely, like, Ross was great, had a flawless performance, and really jumped out to me as someone to watch in the future. But whoever took second was right there as well. I mean, there was no clear winner.
Gotcha.
Whereas in Eldar's division, he stood out head and shoulders above. I think it's just above 99, there isn't quite the talent depth as there is at some of the more middle weight classes. So overall, I was greatly impressed. That was a really exciting opportunity for me to go to basically Eastern Europe and see a lot of guys that don't make the trip over to the United States to compete, and that's mainly where we are based. So
and it's a pretty cool European representation right there as well. I'm just scanning through the results now, and like you said, you've got Russia, you got UK, Poland, Finland, and I think Eldar was from Moldova.
Moldova, yes.
Wow. So there's the 5 categories right there, 5 different European nations represented. So
man, I know,
great.
I know, I kind of say this every week, but like, I'm so excited for ADCC season. I know we have a full year basically until 2019.
You're gonna keep this going for the next
2019 World, but it's just such an exciting process. The way we were gonna watch it all, unfold. I haven't watched too many of the trials ever before, really. So I'm super excited to follow the trials, follow like this. We have another trials coming up
just a couple weeks here
in New Jersey, that Tom DeBlas is going to be running.
You'll go to that one?
I'm going to go to that one, and I already know, especially here in the States, I think that it's going to be stacked. Both those trials, East Coast and West Coast.
A sneak peek at the competitor list for the Jersey trials. I'm going to say ham.
Yeah.
Some spicy names in there.
We've heard it'd be fun, man. Some unexpected names in there as well.
We've heard that Roberto wants to do it. We've heard that Devontae Johnson wants to do it. We've heard just a lot of names that are gonna be in there, and it's just gonna be so exciting. And the way that so now we have what there's how many divisions? Whatever.
There's 6.
6 divisions. So now we have 6 guys. Five.
Sorry. Yeah.
So there's 5 divisions. Now we have 5 guys who are slated in for ADCC now. So it's officially started.
And we'll have 5 more in a few weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The brackets are going to start filling out. You got to think guys like the winners, JT, Gordon, and things like that. They're going to get
automatic invites for sure.
Yeah, automatic invites. So you can start already seeing how these brackets are going to be kind of playing out. So that's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. I gotta say. So about ADCC, it is important to know as well. We've got ADCC veterans watching us live right now. Wagner Hosha, Orlando Sanchez.
What's up?
How cool is it to have guys like that tuning into Fistful of Collars? I gotta say,
incredible.
Big love to you guys. You guys are awesome. Wagner, of course, competing this weekend on Fight to Win against Tanquinho.
That's a great match.
Amazing match.
Great match. Absolutely.
Good work. In Miami too, right? Like in Wagner's backyard. That's
Wagner has 2. His kids are competing too.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine and his son are both on the card as well. That's so badass. Family of fighters right there.
Full family fight to win.
I've never seen his boy compete, but Jasmine, she's a savage. She's really good.
Her
done a
match
number of
at
these
Submission
now.
Underground stands out to me. I remember she just wrecked shop with the Kimura trap system that Wagner's so well known for.
50-50 of the arms.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that was
nice.
awesome.
I love that. Well, moving on, we're talking a lot about leg locks just now with the ADCC, and that leads in nicely to your trip last weekend. So we had 4 live events, but
Yeah,
we
it
also
was
had
busy.
another little trip in there, and that was not for a live event. What was that for, Reid? Where'd you go?
Yeah, just kind of out of the blue, you emailed me and you were like, hey, John Danaher and Ben Askren are teaching a seminar in Albany. You want to go? And I was like, what? Absolutely, I want to go to that. That's like the one thing in the entire world I want to go to. No, but so out in Albany, there was a wrestling tournament on FloWrappling, the Journeyman Classic. And, Ben is a wrestling coach these days, Ben Askren. He teaches the club program, I believe, in Wisconsin.
He's retired from MMA now?
No, I wouldn't say he's quite retired.
He's still putting out feelers out there, right?
He was even ribbing John a little bit that he wanted to bend
that GSP match.
Yeah,
so
he
bad.
wanted to bend his ear about
yeah.
GSP a little bit. But he was going to be there coaching his wrestlers and things. It's a big preseason high school tournament. And, John also lives in New York, so they thought, why don't we bring these two minds together? Maybe a pairing that maybe you wouldn't kind of outright think made a lot of sense, but I think putting the two of them together, it made so much sense. Both these guys are really cerebral guys. Both these guys really think about the way they do things.
It's so different.
Yeah.
You couldn't get more different guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
But I, Ben talked a little bit about it in some of the videos I have with him. Where he says that he doesn't like just to kind of just knock his head against the wall and hope that he gets better. And I think John has the same approach in that he constantly thinks is what's the best way to do things. I know this is the way we've done things for 10 years, but is really that the best way to do that? And so John is obviously really kind of revolutionized a lot of the way we think in jiu-jitsu. I think would be a fair statement to say.
The big thing, about John is that that he believes there is a better teaching methodology available to us, and he feels that I think that plays into exactly what Askren, famously said on the Rogan podcast about how jiu-jitsu guys don't know how to train properly. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. But hey, we have some video from the.
That's very true. Yeah. So we can pull up some of this video here.
Let's roll the video and we can just talk over it.
Sure,
right?
sure. Yeah. So this is they basically just split things up. This is Ben taught takedowns and John taught. You guessed it, leg locks.
Were there any wrestlers in attendance, like pure wrestlers doing the leg lock stuff?
Yeah, there definitely were. There definitely were some guys who, and after an hour, they switched groups, and there's definitely guys there who were only really interested in the wrestling portion, and there were guys there who were only interested in the grappling leg locks portion of it. So they kind of just stayed with their guys. But I thought it was going to be all wrestlers, to be honest, because it was this big wrestling tournament just took place earlier in the day.
I don't know. There's such a strong no-gi scene in the Northeast, though, right?
Yeah.
Upstate New York. You have to think that a lot of guys they would make the trip up for that.
Yeah, there definitely were a lot of jiu-jitsu guys for sure. So
now I got to ask one thing. John is well known for having a very well-developed series of attacks from front headlock. And, of course, Askren is a wrestler. He knows front headlock better than anybody. Were there any kind of moments like that where they got together and there was like a meeting of the minds, like sharing of technique?
Yeah, a little bit. Towards the end, you can. This video right here is from the vlog that I did. You can watch the whole thing on our YouTube channel or on our site. And but yeah, they did at the very end get together and kind of do a little meeting of the minds, and it was supposed to be 30 minutes. Of course, John and Ben talking, and it ended up being
one question for John. It might be.
It ended up being kind of an hour plus, but I think everybody was just absolutely captivated by the two of them. So we could have done an extra hour, but that was probably one of my favorite parts. Is just
any
getting to listen to
salient questions stand out to you that are really still kind of pickling your brain? Like anything come out of that?
Yeah, definitely that what Hal just mentioned there, because Ben Askren has been a little critical of the way jiu-jitsu people train and things like that, and he's been outspoken on the Joe Rogan podcast. So definitely that was something that I think a lot of us were dying to kind of talk to John and Askren, get them to debate a little bit. And we have a video of that coming. It's going to be coming next week, so definitely check it out. And I don't know. I don't want to give too much away about it, but it was a very interesting conversation. The two of them, are very steadfast in a lot of their opinions and stuff like that. So they do get into a little debate. So
I like that.
Stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out next week, probably.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
And what about the overall vibe there then? Because you came from wrestling before you even got involved in grappling and stuff. What was it like going back to that world?
Oh man, just the wrestling tournament. It's been a long time since I've been in a wrestling tournament. Probably since I don't know. I went to a couple in 2015. But this was like high school wrestling a preseason high school wrestling tournament.
Crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like really only like the diehard of the diehard wrestlers were high school wrestlers were there for this one. But no, man, you can just see, right? There's just like 10 mats kind of on the ground. There's just like, the smell of a wrestling tournament.
I mean, there's some guy puking in a trash can, so they were going hard in there. It was not an exhibition match.
Yeah. So, it was a lot of fun. And wrestling's exciting, man. If you've never watched a wrestling match or a wrestling tournament, wrestling is very explosive. Sometimes jiu-jitsu can be a little slow-paced or a little bit more methodical. And, not wrestling, though. Wrestling, it's about kind of exploding that fast, a little bit more fast twitch and stuff. So definitely a lot of big takedowns, a lot of exciting takedowns. It was fun to jump back into that world for a little bit. And you know who also loves wrestling?
Who?
John Danaher, man. He is very in tune with the international wrestling scene. He was I think very eager to talk wrestling with some of the wrestling guys, talk the Russian team and talk the Iranians and things like that. He was very in tune.
Because John is he's a connoisseur of grappling, right?
Absolutely.
He's taken a lot from judo and applied it in a submission grappling stroke jiu-jitsu context, and obviously makes sense that he's done so from other grappling arts. The guy is a scholar of grappling. So it's really I would love to see if there's anything coming out of Danaher's squad then that reflects that. Because
Corey Ryan, obviously,
we've seen it.
Been
We
teasing
started
his
seeing
wrestling,
it,
right?
Yeah, he's been taking people down recently. But I mean, he's just one guy. Is it going to be a thing? Is it going to be a system? Because the leg lock system was something that he got from a bit of everywhere. And then he does actually have really, really good gi takedowns, right? Because you've been there. Every class he teaches in the gi, he starts off with a takedown.
Standing technique,
yeah.
Definitely. Yep.
And crazy thing is, John doesn't even have a black belt in judo.
Really?
Technically.
Travis Stevens, when he was here, even complimented his judo. And Travis Stevens is not a complimentary man.
He doesn't just throw those out.
You gotta earn that one.
Travis actually arranged for John Danaher to receive an honorary black belt in judo because he got there and he said to John, because Travis trained a lot with Danaher, right? Gi and no gi. And he got there and he was like, who's this guy? He didn't really know him. And John starts teaching judo and stuff at the beginning of the class. And it takes a lot to impress Travis, right? And Travis was like, huh. And he goes up to John. He's like, who do you get your black belt from? John's like, I'm not a black belt, And he's like, well, I can fix that.
Let's get that arranged here for you.
Yep, he's got that office in the back of the blue basement, and he's always watching something, watching judo, watching wrestling, watching grappling.
Hopefully on FloGrappling.
Yep, he's certainly, like you said, a student of grappling.
Yeah. So one of the things that you guys you did after the tournament.
Yeah, and then
after the tournament.
Come on, this is such a huge weekend. UFC 229, Conor versus Khabib. You can't think of a better crew to watch it with. Probably.
You were there watching it with those guys.
Watching it with John and Askren.
That's awesome.
It was perfect. Yeah,
it's probably insane to be in that.
Yeah. I'm a huge MMA fan, and I've always been a big fan of Conor fights. That they just elevate things to.
Would you say that you're a fanboy of Conor?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But man,
even
honestly,
if you weren't a fan, you were watching that fight. Everybody was watching that.
I
fight.
honestly was the only one there rooting for Conor because it was there. It was all wrestlers, right? It was all wrestlers. Ben, his whole crew, and a lot of other wrestlers came, and there's a couple of other jiu-jitsu guys too. But the wrestlers obviously wanted the Russian wrestler to win the whole time. So I was shouting out for Conor, and a couple times they told me to leave. They're like, "This is the wrong crowd, bro." But it was so much fun to get to watch it with Ben and John. Of course, the fight before with Anthony Pettis and Tony Ferguson, and Ben is one of Anthony's coaches. We saw Dan Borovic.
That's
out
right.
there too. Shout out to Dan Borovic.
Was there any real-time analysis from the guys, or were people just screaming at each other?
Yeah, I mean, that late in the night, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. I don't know. It's hard to remember, to be honest.
Screaming at each other.
Hard to remember exactly what
hazy,
happened.
you might say.
Yeah.
So of course, result aside, everybody's talking about the rear naked choke. It was not a neck crank. Let's just make that very, very clear. And people are saying like, oh, Khabib tapped him with a neck crank. No.
I don't know.
It was over the face.
I'm on the
I mean,
fence.
I know you can choke a guy out unconscious with over the
Absolutely
jaw.
you can. It was a rear naked choke on top of the jaw, and he had a little bit of a twist to it, but he wasn't like
twist.
cranking the neck.
I think it's maybe a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah, it was that one where you've got the elbow on on top of the chin, and you're pushing the chin down into, and that's a legit strangle. They call it like a mandible strangle or something like that.
Yeah, Braulio Estima has that great video where he shows it. It's on YouTube somewhere. Check it out.
He showed it to me actually once. I remember I
feel sorry for your face.
Well, I know he showed it to me on somebody else.
Perfect situation.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. But holy crap, man! When he showed it to me, and the little difference that it makes, that kind of downward pressure with the elbow like that. Oh, it's nasty. It really is. So I'm not surprised Conor tapped, although I was a little bit disappointed he didn't fight out with it a little bit
I mean,
harder.
I think got to ask Conor what he tapped to, if it was a strangle or if it
Conor
was
remains undefeated, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
If you asked him.
He's never tapped. So.
Never lost.
But it wasn't the only thing people were talking about from that evening.
Very,
Because the
very
eagle
true.
took flight.
Yeah, legendary skirmish there.
Yeah.
Maybe a black eye in the sport. I can't decide myself how I feel about it. The pre-fight antics were pretty incredible from Conor in a good and bad way.
Hang on a second. People are upset a fight broke out in a fight. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not freaking tiddlywinks. You gotta go to a hockey game and it's what you're waiting for. Like it's whatever. But
Come on, if somebody jumped the cage and punched or jumped the things at a hockey game and punched Wayne Gretzky in the face, you'd be pretty mad about that, I think.
I would not be mad. I'd be all over
You'd be
that
like, what the
shit.
heck? Who are these guys jumping
Come on,
onto
you
the ice
see-
and
you
punching Wayne Gretzky
you
in the
see
face?
bench clearing
That's right.
balls all
I'm
the time in
comparing
baseball
Conor
and
McGregor
shit.
and Wayne Gretzky. Okay.
actually, it sounds like you're comparing Dillon Danis and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah,
because he's
maybe.
the one that Khabib was aiming for.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
So Dillon, of course, no stranger to FloGrappling. We've been following Dillon's career for a very long time, and man, like, were you guys surprised to see Dillon mixed up in the middle of that? Because I don't know about you, as soon as Khabib jumped the fence, I went, "It's Dillon!"
Yeah.
Oh my god!
He's easy to point out too with the hair, right?
Uh-huh. Stands out. What do you think?
I thought he looked pretty good in the skirmish. He did not back down from the challenge. There is that pretty epic screen grab of Khabib flying in like a goddamn eagle, which is probably one of the most like iconic shots ever.
For me, he was doing
Yeah.
a freaking Super Mario impression, man. He was aiming to go square on top of Dillon's head. Like,
It's just pretty badass. But once he hit the ground, Dillon gave it right back to him. I thought Dillon looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think Dillon. I mean, what a
Split
crazy,
decision from the judges over here.
just what a crazy whole incident. People were saying it's more exciting than the fight, and like I kind of totally agree. It's like when we were all sitting there and things were kind of waning, and it was like, oh, okay, the fight's over, and then all of a sudden he jumped it. It was just mayhem where I was watching it.
Another
so.
round of drinks. Like, we gotta figure out what's going on here.
But
I would just say it was a very surreal experience for me. So I was leaving ADCC European Trials. I had a 6 a.m. flight out of Romania, and I took off right before the fight started. I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna miss the fight. Whatever, I'll check it out when I land. So I land in Paris for my connection, pull out my phone, and I just see this stream of posts on Reddit and on Instagram. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, there's Dillon getting into fights. There's Khabib being restrained. Like, I don't know what just went down. So I was definitely taken aback by that.
And before we get some people talking about, why you guys talking about Dillon, why you guys, he doesn't deserve it or he's not relevant in the sport, that's completely ridiculous to me. Of course, Dillon is, whether you like it or not, Dillon represents jiu-jitsu. And now he represents jiu-jitsu on a very, very large scale. I saw like the New York Times doing, or some huge publications doing
Major mainstream news, yeah.
doing who is Dillon Danis and things like that. This is a guy, well, like I said, whether you like it or not, he represents jiu-jitsu to a large number of people nowadays. And we've all known Dillon for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
You've known him for a very long time, I think. We've all gotten to see his mediocre rise over these last couple of years. The ups and downs of his career. We've gotten to roll with Dillon.
Yeah.
Right. We've trained with Dillon. So this is a guy who's very much tightly wound within the jiu-jitsu scene, I think, whether you like it or not. And just to see him be on this stage and to be the most talked about guy coming out of a Conor versus Khabib fight, I think it's something we got to talk about.
Man, I think there are other jiu-jitsu guys who would kill for that kind of attention.
Yeah,
let's be
for
honest,
real.
right? I mean, Dillon put on like he got like 250,000 Instagram followers pretty much overnight after that. It's insane. And Yeah, but he has made a claim, or made a statement, I should say, because people were saying that apparently he was insulting Khabib and he was talking trash, and they were saying that he was saying some pretty
disparaging things,
anti-Islamic things, and very insulting.
Which
from
I've
ringside.
never seen Conor say anything disparaging about Islam.
Well,
I've never seen
I
it.
gotta say, some of the remarks were thinly veiled, right? Like,
Well, Conor's one thing, but I haven't seen Dillon ever make any comments like that, right? And there was literal hearsay that Dillon was talking trash towards Khabib. Like people said, we heard him say, or others who were literally like John Kavanagh, for example, Conor's head coach, who was right next to Dillon, said on record, no, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
And Dillon has made a statement that he said that basically, he feels that people are attempting to smear him in an effort to justify his actions and justify Khabib's actions. And he said, I have never and would never denigrate anybody's religion. And he looks forward to the results of Nevada State Athletic Commission investigation, which will reject this, quote, bullshit claim. So, yeah, I got to say, Dillon, making statements like that, I can see him throwing the fingers for sure, but
And you may think that what Dillon did is completely embarrassing to the sport of jiu-jitsu. You may be on the other side of it.
He didn't start it.
Yeah, I mean, even before the actual melee, you may have taken umbrage with some of the things that happened even before that, but. Yeah, Dillon's in the middle of it. I think it's so crazy that Dillon is the guy that after all this, Dillon's the guy who's kind of in the middle of it.
Wow. What a perfect place to wrap up this week's podcast. Just to remind you guys that this weekend we have got Fight to Win 89, and that is with Tanquinho and Wagner Hoscher, as we mentioned. Got a really stacked card there from South Florida. Man.
Enrico
Florida's
Coco's on the
talent coming out
card.
for this, we got Jay-Z Cavalcanti.
How about
Enrico
Victor Doria,
Coco,
Raul Jimenez?
I'm pumped for that fight.
It's a great
It's a
match.
Masters fight, but both those guys are animals.
Yeah.
And
They're going to go for it.
Raul is, of course, Roberto Jimenez's dad. He's had some matches with Victor Doria. I believe Victor is 3-0 against him, but Raul just won Masters Worlds, looked very dominant in that fashion. So that's a badass matchup. And last minute notice, too. Victor had someone else that was more local, had to pull out last minute, and Raul is coming out from Vegas. I'm not quite sure how that got connected.
Oh, we got Victor watching as well.
Hey,
What's
what
up,
up,
Victor?
Good timing, brother.
Yeah. Good luck this week, man. It's going to be great to see you on the stage.
No, I love those dudes, right? Those, kind of, like you said, what are they, Masters 3?
Masters 2.
Masters 2, sorry. but man, those guys ready to throw down still.
Oh, they go hard.
So, yeah.
It's good classic jiu-jitsu, a lot of good stand-ups, some takedowns, and then this pressure.
The Fight Sports
Press
family
out.
are out in force for this one as well,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And speaking of family, like you said, Wagner Hoscher has actually got his 2 kids, Jasmine and Achilles, both in action as well.
Wow.
We got a ton. We got Maggie Grandati is going to be in a title fight against Brittany Elking for the brown belt no-gi welterweight female title.
Purple belt world champion there, Maggie Grandati. So
Kevin Mahesha, he's on the
ton
card.
of local comment. Alexandre Pimentel, also known as
OG.
Pulga. We saw him in action against AJ Agazam in a previous fight
that's
to
right.
win.
That guy has the most badass omoplata I've ever seen.
Ex-Blackzilian head coach Jorge Santiago.
Yeah.
Or grappling coach, maybe not head coach, sorry.
Just a ton of local talent, man. That's going to be a really cool one. Definitely
Miami's
tuning
definitely
into
like
that.
a hotbed of East Coast jiu-jitsu. There's so much Brazilian influence there. It's you can't throw a rock without hitting a gym.
They
so.
had the Orlando show just last week, and of course the Tampa show. That was where AJ versus Wagner happened.
Yeah, these guys aren't going to get hit by the hurricane, are they?
Oh, that's
Actually,
true.
that's
There
a
is
good question. I
hurricane,
hope
huh?
you guys are
Yikes.
safe out there.
Hope
I think
everybody's
it's
safe.
in the
Yeah.
Gulf. I
Yes,
don't know.
yeah.
So they might be safe, but either way.
Hope not.
Because
All right.
Miami's a little further down.
All right, well, guys, it's been a pleasure once again. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and check back on FloGrappling. Plenty more good jiu-jitsu and grappling to come. See you soon.